Well, good morning, everyone, and my huge apologies for the delay in starting. This is the first webinar we've done like this, and we are trying to get the captioning sorted out as well as the BSL interpretation, and we've made a bit of a hash of it so far. So my incredible apologies for the delay in starting. This won't happen in the future. But you're very welcome. As I say, this is the first in a series of, someone's saying they can't hear anything. Could somebody say in the chat if you can hear us? In the chat or in the, yes, you can hear us. Oh, good. Yeah, so technology, you have to love it, don't you? This is the first in a series of Meet the Employer events. So thank you to ITV for being the first one, and it turns out you're the guinea pigs. We weren't expecting you to be the guinea pigs. We were hoping it was going to work very, very smoothly from the start, but anyway, we're on board now. So welcome to everybody who's attending the session. These Meet the Employer events are part of our new career hive, which if you don't know about that yet, we'll be sending some information out on the follow-up email to this event. And the way they work is that we're going to get individual employers who are those few enlightened employers who understand that employing disabled people is a good thing, to come along and talk to you about their organisation, the kinds of roles that they offer, the recruitment process and all the rest of it. And then you'll have the opportunity to ask questions later on. So if you have questions as we go through, do put them in the questions box and I'll come to them at the end. But I'm going to ask a few questions of my own as well. So you're very welcome. I hope it's accessible for everybody. We've done our best, so let us know if we're getting anything wrong and we will try and make it clear for you. So I'd like to introduce Karen, who's our signer for today. Welcome, Karen. But I'd also very much like to introduce you to Robbie Morton from ITV. So Robbie has been with Even Break, and ITV have been with Even Break for a while now. And we're very, very pleased to have ITV advertising all their roles on Even Break and making it clear to candidates that obviously ITV welcome talented disabled candidates to work for them. And just wanted to know a little bit more about ITV. So welcome, Robbie, and thank you very, very much for being here with us today and putting up with all the technical hitches. First of all, I wondered if you could tell us a little bit about yourself and your role at ITV, and then I can ask you some questions.
Okay, well, thanks so much for having me, Jane. And it wouldn't be 2020 and 2021 without any tech issues. That's what I found. So, yeah, so I am the Senior Resourcing Manager here at ITV, and I report to the Director of Resourcing Developments. The main business areas that I look after are the commercial advertising world, the group marketing, the digital media creative world, and also our new media and entertainment division, which has been set up. I've also got experience looking after technology and data, finance and legal, so full breadth of experience from ITV in my 4.5 years here. Amazing. I mean, I know I'm biased around this, but it is a fantastic company culture. It is a fantastic place to work. And the main thing right now is we want to make sure that everybody gets visibility to our opportunities across all our divisions, which is why this amazing partnership with Even Break is set up to ensure that all our roles across studios, across technology, across finance, legal, whatever it might be, every single role ideally goes on to Even Break, so it gives everybody full visibility on the opportunities for you to potentially apply. So I've been here around 4.5 years, as mentioned. We have got a fantastic team in place who we all share the same values, the same ethos. We are all very passionate about ensuring ITV is a diverse and inclusive employer of choice. And we are a disability-confident leader now. So what that means is that when we are advertising roles, we will do our best, well, we should now fully do it, to have minimum criteria on the adverts. And then there's a bit at the end of the advert which will articulate that if you hit the minimum criteria of that opportunity, we will invite you for an interview. But we will also call you and we will talk you through the process and ensure that you're comfortable going forward for the opportunity based on your experience and what you think you can offer the role. So that's a quick summary for you, Jane, if that helps.
Lovely. Yeah, that's great. Thank you. So when people think about ITV, they might think that the only kind of jobs there are behind the camera or being a broadcaster in front of the camera. And clearly there's a much bigger breadth of variety of jobs at ITV. Could you talk us through some of the different kinds of roles that there are within ITV?
Yeah, so we have many roles. So we've got quite a few, sort of 100 at the moment that we're going through the process in, but it can range from anything between, you've got the studios world where you've got, if you want to go into more production focused opportunities, behind the camera, kind of working on shows. Then we've got commercial sales, which is the advertising world, so how ITV makes its revenue basically. And we have what we call commercial sales assistants. They're usually a really good starting point to building your career in the advertising world as well. We have, we don't tend to have a lot of entry-level positions in finance and legal, but then we have that sort of finance managers and sort of legal professionals as well, if interested in any of those. We have marketing positions. We have a lot of technology and data, and that's really key because ITV is investing a lot into technology and data at the moment, which means there's going to be a lot of opportunities in that world that will come live at the moment as we move to be a much more digitally entertainment company as we evolve. Because I'm sure everybody knows this, but viewing habits have obviously increased through lockdown, but the way we consume content is changing, and with that ITV is changing. But what we're trying to say is it's not just like Jane says, in front of the camera. There is the studio as well with the working on shows piece. There's the commercial advertising to understand how ITV helps brands advertise. We've got finance, legal, technology, comms, the list goes on, pre-marketing, news positions. We're going to be doing an ITV news work experience program, which we're looking to set up in the next 2 to 3 months. And of course, that is going to go across Eden Break, and I'll make sure Jane can gets all that information as well to put a bit more information together across the platform. But so if you're interested in journalist roles, there's going to be an opportunity to find out more about that type of world as well.
So it's obviously not just camera people and broadcasters. There's all sorts of different opportunities, all sorts of different sectors and things. So when you're looking for new recruits, are you looking for people who have a background in broadcasting, or can they come from other sectors with transferable skills?
Yeah, really good question, actually, Jane, because when I started ITV, I think we were very much recruiting the same type of person, broadcast experience. We had a set template as to the type of person or type of people we needed to hire. As ITV evolves, and as we evolve digitally, and as we evolve as a diverse and inclusive employer of choice, we want to make sure that we're not just looking at the same type of background. We need people to bring things from different experiences, different backgrounds, different understandings on maybe different industries. And that's how companies evolve in today's world. So we are now looking much more to recruit from, not just from a broadcast background, but people from a range of different industries. I think the main thing you have to bring, if I talk about it from a different levels, if you're coming in from an entry-level position, we don't look at education, really, if I'm honest. We are quite focused on someone showing the passion for the brand coming through on, we try not to use CVs too much either. We're trying to do a blind CV process at the moment, which is really good. But even if you're answering application questions, just really try to highlight how passionate you are about the brand and ITV and our shows, because that does go a long way in the business still. And then if you've got sort of the mid-level management positions that maybe, or into sort of leadership focused opportunities that you're looking for, we're trying to build that area out a lot more so that it's not just people coming from TV and media backgrounds. They can bring different types of skills, and be able to sort of move the business and evolve the business where we need to go as a company. The whole slogan of ITV now is more than TV, which kind of highlights that it's not just about what's on the television screen. It's about a range of different things that we're going to be doing in the future. So we need to make sure that our workforce, is fully represented from people with different skills and different backgrounds.
That's great. So people shouldn't be put off because they don't have a background in broadcasting. If they have a background in the skill that they're, whether it's commercial or legal or data or whatever it is, it shouldn't put them off applying because they don't have a background in television sector.
No, absolutely not. We encourage if someone thinks they've got the right skills for ITV and they are passionate about the brand and they want to be part of the company, you know, we want you to apply. We want you to be part of that journey. We understand, you know, in terms of the way we are, all companies sometimes we have that system where you have to apply for a system and go through that stuff. We are trying to change and evolve with that. All our adverts now have got, we're trying to include our Talking Careers email address on it as well. So that if there's any problem with applying through the system, or if there's any, you know, it's not working for whatever reason, then there's a point of contact on there that will go to a resourcing team member and will offer support to the person applying. So that's really, really important to know. We're trying to improve how our adverts show on the market and, you know, and what we can offer. But absolutely, look, ITV jobs are for all. It's all about loving the brand. We are a very, very flat structure here. We're a very nice company. And I say nice in a really nice sense that we are a commercially focused, driven organisation. But we understand we all have the same values. We all are on this journey together. So, you know, if you think you've got the right skills and you are passionate about our programs and want to be part of the brand, of course, please do apply for the opportunities.
That's fantastic. And you've touched on the recruitment process there. And my understanding is it might be slightly different depending on which part of ITV people are applying for. But can you talk us through the recruitment process a little bit, what people might expect if they do apply for a job with ITV?
Yeah, it does vary at the moment. I mean, it's because if we are, for example, when we just launched our apprenticeship scheme back in the last year, which had around 60 apprenticeships, and we did a different process for that, which was all around not looking at people's CVs. You know, it's something that myself and Jane have been we've had long chats about that. We both agree with this approach. Obviously, trying to embed that as well into an organisation initially is difficult because managers do like to see CVs. But we've managed to do that on answering the strength of the application questions and understanding a little bit around those questions around diversity and inclusion in the application process. Just asking, why do you want to do this apprenticeship? Why are you passionate about it? And so that kind of was able to bring it to life that, you know, rather than looking at a CV and judging person, and we also have the opportunity for someone to send in a video cover letter if they wanted to do it that way as well. But absolutely, at the moment, you know, for most roles, there's still this piece around wanting a CV, okay, and that's something that we need to evolve a little bit with the time as we go through, because obviously managers still want to see a certain degree of skill set. And we are looking at different systems that might work in the future to do things differently. But right now, the adverts go onto the market, obviously go on to Even Break. Then they will link up with a system we call Taleo, which you will get pointed to set up an account and then apply for the role directly. We've tried to make sure that process is streamlined now for everybody, whoever wants to apply for the roles, so that you don't have to be putting loads and loads of information on that, you know, before you apply. But as I said, there is now the minimum criteria on the adverts, so you understand when you apply what is kind of minimum to perform that role. And that's always bolded now in the advert. So if you see an ITV advert and you see bold in the essential criteria piece, that will guide you a little bit as to whether or not it's the right role for you and whether or not you should apply, which is good. And then, as I say, we are very smart working now as well. So when we apply, we have on our adverts around smart working policy, which means that you know, we will do our best to work if you are hired into the business around life-work balance and ensuring that if you apply for a 5-day a week, but you can only work 3 days, can we accommodate that? And looking at those sort of plans. So the idea of what I'm trying to say is that we're not just, you apply for a role, it's 5 days, that's it, apply for your system. We're trying to put little different things and pieces of communication on that will support anybody going through the application process, whether that be an email address, if you're having a bit of an issue with the system and you want to send your CV, or you want to talk to someone in the resourcing team, you can email that email address and explain, and then someone will pick up the phone, arrange a time to chat, and we can go through it that way. And then, obviously, and Jane, there's the reason we use the system at the moment is because of GDPR as well, with data compliance, that we're gathering your information correctly and legitimately. But once you are then in the process, and hopefully you're then invited to interview, we are trying, because it's all virtual at the moment, we're trying not to make it formulaic from the outset. We're trying to treat the initial first stage interviews as more of a chat, a get to know you, a scene setting exercise to understand if it's the right company for you and if you're right for us as well at that point. And then a process after that would go more into just sort of understanding your skills, knowledge, and experience on the opportunity and how it might be right for you at that stage.
So if somebody needs particular adjustments for that recruitment process, maybe they need more time for questions, or they need the questions in advance, or whatever it might be, do they use that process that you mentioned where they can get in touch with you and have that conversation?
Absolutely. So we do include on the adverts the email address to get in touch if you need any support. And also on the interview emails, when you're confirmed, you usually receive a call from one of the team who will offer that support as well and say, okay, do you need any support for this process? Is there anything we can do? We then also put that onto our interview emails. So the idea is that we want you to pick up the phone or email us or whatever that you're more comfortable with, to ensure that we can put those support pieces in place. We have a partnership with a company called Microlink, which does fantastic work in ensuring any sort of reasonable adjustments are supported in terms of any technical things that are needed, etc., etc. So that is a partnership that we have on a day-to-day basis that we can work with very, very quickly. So we would always want people just to be very honest with us and say, I need this support, or this amount of time before an interview, or this information before an interview. But we are trying to make it much more personable. Obviously, in the world of virtual working, sometimes things can be lost over email, and we are doing everything we can to make it, to ensure that we communicate with you the best way that you want to be communicated with, whether that be email, whether that be by text, whether that be by call, whatever, or by video call. We are doing our best to ensure that you can have that platform to raise those support questions.
Fantastic. And presumably you'd encourage people to do that because you want people to shine in the process, don't you? And better that they have the support they need than struggle on and not show themselves at their best.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, everybody has their own stories, and I've said this to Jane before. I have a brother who's got learning difficulties, and when he's found it very difficult to apply for opportunities before, and we encourage him to communicate with the business that he's applying to understand what support he needs, what time he needs, to ensure that the best version of himself is going forward for that opportunity. So as I say, it's something that's very important to me as a whole, and I know it's very important across the team. And the only way that we can ensure that we are keeping a representation of ITV as a diverse and inclusive employer of choice is that we actually follow through with these things, which is so we encourage anybody who does need support, even through the application process, to get in touch via and I'm happy if Jane wants to circulate the email at the end of this as well, for you to say for talkingcareers@itv.com, and we would ensure that is prioritised and got back to you in good time. Fantastic.
So, so if I was a candidate and I wanted to work for ITV, and if I didn't work for Even Break, I might. What would I need to do to shine? What would I need to do to stand out so that I'd be seen as a really desirable applicant?
So, I mean, I know I mentioned it earlier. This business is very much, it's a very people-orientated business. We are a commercial organisation that obviously makes its money from advertising revenue and all that stuff, and creates fantastic popular shows for people and entertainment we hope that you all enjoy. But it is a very much a people-focused organisation. And, you know, we have now got a group diversity director called Ali Rawcliffe, and we are setting up a full sort of diversity group team as well, who are here to sort of help the whole of the UK about our roles and how to put your best version forward for the opportunities. So I would say fundamentally, passion for the brand is still so key to getting opportunities. You love TV. It's still important that you love television and you want to work in media. You know, no matter what type of role it is, if it's technology, if it's finance or legal, they still love. Everybody who comes into the organisation loves television and and loves our programming. So that's really important. I think in terms of any type of CV or any type of application question, it's also about looking at the advert and just looking at minimum criteria and how you sync up your skill set to that minimum criteria that we have. So if for example, we're asking for a certain skills with Excel, for example, just kind of highlight your ability on Excel, where you've used it before. And that just kind of highlights to us, okay, that's good. So they have that, this candidate has that ability to use Excel at this level or whatever it might be. So I think it's really important, and I've always said that in my 12 years of recruitment, is to look at what you're applying for, take some of those sort of essential skills that jobs have on them on the adverts, and really try to infuse that into any sort of covering letter you're doing or any application questions you're answering. And I would also, looking for work sometimes and applying for jobs is hard work in itself, isn't it? We know that. But if you can look at kind of what the company's doing, so if you're applying for an ITV job, you Google ITV strategy, for example, and you just have a little bit of an indication as to what ITV is doing or evolving, where it's going, and you can infuse that a little bit into your responses. For us as a resourcing team, it gives us a lot to go on, because if there's a manager who is umming about CVs or not sure who to take forward, we can also say, well, this person actually infused knowledge of ITV as a business into their answers, and they were able to really showcase the brand and why they want to work for ITV, and they were so passionate about it. And we can ensure that they understand that part based on their application questions as well.
So as we say to all of our candidates anyway, it's worth spending time over each application, not just sending the same CV to lots of different places and hoping for the best. It's about making sure that you really read the advert, do a bit of research on the company itself and what's important to the company, and make sure that your application really shows how you're suitable for that particular role. It might be different for a different role you're going for, maybe.
Absolutely, and it's not just about the role as well. I keep saying that as we are such a people organisation, and as we kind of evolve, not only digitally, but also as an inclusive employer of choice, which is what we want to do, and we are committed to doubling the amount of people who have declared disabilities in the business by 2022. There's a commitment there, and so our commitment is to ensure that we have a full representation of candidates from the UK who want to come to ITV and say, this is the company for me. But yeah, it's very integral that you don't just, I think, send the same thing out to each employer. You do need to tailor, and whether that be just sometimes just tailor your personal profile and explain, like, I'm very passionate about working for ITV as a production runner because I really love the shows, blah, 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 whatever it might be. Because that just highlights, okay, they've really thought about it and they've actually, connected their CV to ITV in some respects.
Fantastic. I've got lots of other questions, but actually, rather than me hogging it all, there are lots of questions coming up here. So here's one. Does your disability confident commitment apply to the production companies you work with? What steps are ITV taking to ensure diversity across the whole talent pipeline and not just entry-level roles? That's two separate questions, really, isn't it?
So obviously we've got integrated production companies within ITV who are, obviously, yes, it's the same situation. So they're all part of the ITV family, as it were. And I've worked, in fact, over this past 6 months, I've been very closely working with Multi-Story, with Mammoth Media, who are part of ITV, to ensure that we have that stuff happening. And I think with Mammoth at the moment, we've launched a trainee scheme as well, which is very much focused around sort of looking at candidates from a full range of diverse backgrounds as well. That's been advertised. So obviously, some of the independent production companies we work with outside of ITV, we can only do so much with them. As someone who's worked at BBC as well, we are part of a big broadcast family. So I think everybody feeds into each other as much as we can, and we do go to same events and talk about how we can improve it across media as a whole. So that's one side of the question. And what was the other bit? Sorry, Jane.
What steps are you taking to ensure diversity across the whole talent pipeline and not just entry-level roles?
Sure. So the commitment there, obviously, if we talk about Even Break, I wanted to ensure that every single role across ITV had visibility, and that is anything from an entry-level role to our leadership opportunities, because it's important that we don't, there's a full breadth of ITV roles out there that everybody can see. So that's obviously really important. And in terms of, obviously, as mentioned, we've got a group diversity director now who is building a team out. So they'll work very closely with us in resourcing to ensure that, yes, the apprentice scheme, for example, is getting a full range of diverse applications and representation throughout. But at the same time, when we're, for example, we're building a Finance Centre of Excellence in Manchester, which are all live on the websites, and you can check them out if you're interested. But ensuring that those manager and analyst levels, for example, and the head of level are on Even Break, and they have got the same attraction, going across them as we would do with the entry level roles as well, to ensure that it really gets out there and people see it and can apply.
Yeah, great. And we're really keen on you because of that. I mean, some organisations assume that disabled people are only interested in entry-level roles, and nothing could be further from the truth. And it's great when we find an employer that recognises somebody might be, right at the top of their career path and be looking for work. So it's really good that that's recognised. A question about entry requirements for the job position. That will vary, won't it? Of course, depending on the job that you're advertising for.
It will, but as I say, it's really important to know that each advert now should have a bold criteria, which is around that, and I know that you may not want to go forward just if you hit minimum criteria, because at the end of the day, you want to make sure that you're set up for success in that interview, but at least it guides you a little bit to understand what is the key stuff that we do need from the outset, and then the other stuff that's unbolded is elements you can learn and you can develop it, and everything like that.
Fantastic. And then the other question from the same person, what are the current job vacancies available? I can answer that one. Go to Even Break, click on the ITV icon, and you get straight to the ITV opportunities. Are there any disabilities before the interview and after the interview? I think you've answered that one, haven't you? That yes, those adjustments are available throughout the process at whatever time anybody might need them. Any adjustments they might need for the recruitment process. Does ITV have a radio station?
Yes, that's right.
Oh, sorry.
We do podcasts, but we don't have radio stations. Sorry.
Okay, well, it's a bit like radio.
Okay, you broke up there, but no, we a bit like radio. Yeah, we have podcasts, which we do we have ITV Pride podcast now, which is done by our Director of Media and Creative, Matt Scarf. We are building out our digital areas at the moment to increase our podcast producers. So there might be some more stuff happening as we invest our time into, the media and entertainment division that we're growing at the moment. So that could be. We do work very closely with Global Radio, who look after, I think, Heart and all that sort of good stuff. Who work with us very closely in the advertising world as well.
Fantastic. Do you have a mentoring scheme inside?
Good timing. So Annie Rawcliffe, our Group Director of Diversity, has actually just sent out an email today talking about becoming mentors across the business, and then we're looking for 150 of us across ITV who are interested in doing that piece. It's something I'm personally going to probably put myself forward for, and I'm more than happy, and I'll have a chat with Jane as well to see how that can kind of feed into Even Break, potentially for you to see those opportunities. But yes, that's an email that's actually come from this morning, so good timing. Yeah. So I'll keep you updated about that, but that is in the pipeline. That's correct.
Fantastic. Another question: can I get help with media video editor skills? I don't know whether that question's about more broadly, whether there's any training that's offered internally.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, if you were to get an opportunity in ITV, you have the on-the-job training, of course, but then we have a full development team who sits alongside resourcing, which offer, obviously, in terms of workshops, and then if you have a specific area that you want to evolve your skill set in, you can talk to your line manager, and we'll talk to development, and then we'll see what external courses there are that you can potentially go on to. We do a lot of that in terms of building skill set and external courses, but what you would need to do if you were to get a role in ITV is be honest and open and say, I'm really keen on in doing this. Is there any external courses that I could do in ITV? And then we're here then to support and see if that's something that we could set up for you.
Please excuse the fire alarm going off in the background. There isn't a fire, it's a practice. We'll try and ignore it. There's a hard question, I think, to answer, but the question is, what sort of questions will we be asked at interview, and how can we best answer them?
So look, in my business areas, because I very much tend to start moving away, and there's two other senior managers with me who look after different business areas. So Jason looks after news, and Bill looks after technology now. We very much try to move away from the competency-based questioning, the whole, can you give me a specific example? So we're trying to move it much more into scenario-led focused questions. So what would you do in situations? The idea being that if you may not have that experience yet, or that, but you'll be able to highlight, well, this is how I would approach that situation. Or this, with my knowledge from this industry, is how I would approach that to resolve that issue. So what I would do is, if you get a chance to interview within ITV, is just think about sort of key things around how you would approach certain issues. So when problems arise, how you would approach those, and to get a relevant issue resolution to that. How would you connect your passion for the company and the job spec, and how you would get that across at ITV, how you would infuse that into your answers. Some people just take a literal response to to a question, where they might say, tell us why you want the job, and then someone might say, oh, I really want to be a legal advisor. It's just something I'm interested in. But some people, if you can try and infuse it, say, well, firstly, I'm really keen on being a legal advisor because of, I've got this background. I think it adds to my skill set. But they also infuse it with ITV. So they say, but mainly, I want to be a legal advisor in ITV because I can see that you're doing this at the moment, and it's so exciting, so interesting to me to be part of the company. That sort of approach is much better than being very much a succinct response to the question. Just trying to open up a little bit to show that you've done a bit of research on the company, because sometimes managers don't always ask you about what you know about ITV, but they expect it in the answers, which isn't always the right approach, but sometimes you might find that. So if you can get as much knowledge about the company from your research into your answers as possible, that will always stand you in good stead for opportunities.
That's great. And just a note here that the Career Hive will have lots of information on interviews, so there'll be some resources and things that you can look at, but also our careers coaches can help if you have any particular issues about preparing for interviews, especially if you've got one coming up that you want some support with. So our careers coaches, who are all disabled people themselves, but professionally qualified, will be able to help candidates with that. So another question, is there a cut-off age regarding employment? This candidate is 56 years of age and me, a youngster. Would this affect their application or prospects of gaining employment?
Well, absolutely not. I mean, everything's open to everybody at the end of the day. So you can apply from the age of 16, technically, in terms of ITV, and all the way upwards. So we encourage you, if you're interested. We did hold also a program just before COVID, which we hope we will get it on again, around work returners program. So if anybody's had, after sort of finishing a stint in their career somewhere else, and then wants to get involved with media, then there's a chance to obviously get onto that program as well. We're hoping we do that again this year. Obviously with COVID, we just need to sort of assess the capacity across the team. It might come to light from next year, but rule of thumb is no, absolutely. Roles are open to everybody. Okay, so if you want to apply, please do. We want to see as much talent as possible across all our opportunities.
That's great. And also from the same candidate, a question which will be relevant for lots of our candidates. Having had a number of years not working due to health conditions, but now ready to go back into the workplace, would that count against them because there's perhaps a long gap in their CV?
No, and as I say, that's where the education of us as a resourcing team of managers helps, because as I mentioned with the work returners program, that was a massive initiative from our CEO, who is very passionate about it. So we shouldn't be judging people who have got gaps on their CV, because they could offer the company a lot moving forward. So that was actually something that was sponsored by Carolyn McCall, our CEO, for that work returners, and it went really, really well back in 2019. We were hoping, like I say, to get it live again this year. We're just obviously figuring things out as we go at the moment. So no, I think that shows you a bit of commitment from the top, that stuff we shouldn't worry. And that's what we're here as a resourcing team to do. My resources and myself for the senior roles, we're here to coach and business partner with the business to ensure that they know, yes, this person's had 2 years out, but look at the fantastic experience they had previously, and what they could bring to this opportunity. So that's where we work as an in-house function as well. And just quickly going back to Jane, your mention around sort of the previous question. I think we want to do much more around partnership with Even Break on sort of virtual career hours, where you can come on a call with ITV, with either myself and my team, and we can just talk you through the different opportunities, how to apply, how to approach interviews, the ITV culture, introducing you to our networks from ITV Able, which is our disability network, ITV Embrace, which is for our Black, Asian, minority, ethnic community, LGBT, ITV Pride, ITV Balance. And we also are a smart working organisation. So if you have had some time out and you want to come back in, but you don't want to come into a 5-day-a-week role, and there's an opportunity to do 2 or 3 days, or even 1 or 2 days to get some experience, we are a smart working business. So the idea is now, moving forward, that we can offer those sort of opportunities as well, to come in and understand the world of ITV and do initially 2 or 3 days to build your knowledge and take it from there.
Oh, it's fantastic. I mean, most employers just don't offer that. On the return programme, sometimes, technology will have moved on. I mean, just in this last year with COVID, technology's moved on. We're all learning about technology we didn't know existed before. So on those return programmes, would you help candidates learn about the new technology that's used at ITV that they might need to become familiar with?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've in terms of an example of when we had the returns program back in 2019 is we had a lot of people who had finished in a certain industry and had sort of taught themselves, for example, with technology, certain programming language that they'd never ever even done tech stuff before. And then they were looking, obviously, ideally to get maybe entry-level roles into more sort of, junior sort of programming opportunities. We were able to place one person with us she had gone through 2 years out of work, had spent 1 year re-educating herself on tech. It was just something she was really interested in, and her background before that was kind of administrative work, and is now as a junior programmer in our tech. Learning on the job around more around the technology side. If you've got in terms of the operating systems and everything like that, of course you get full tech support with that. And if you were to be successful and start in a virtual world, laptops are couriered out to you. You have a full 1 to 2 hours with tech to set you up on all the systems, give you the guidance. Then we have an ITV induction where you come on and you learn more about the culture of ITV and kind of what support functions are in place across the business and everything like that as well.
Fantastic, thank you. Another question on, have you got any examples of adjustments that you've provided for disabled candidates who've been applying for jobs at ITV?
Yeah, I've got a couple. So very recently on the apprenticeship, so candidates who needed extra time on one of the sort of numerical tasks we did at the end, and also needed one of the tasks sent the night before. So what I did is I logged on Sunday night and ensured that was sent to the candidates ready for the Monday. And then we also ensured that when we did the breakout rooms, because it was part of a group assessment day, to ensure we didn't want to make, we usually go into 2 big groups and we invigilate as they do the test, virtually through a Google form. But we thought if I could just put on, because they had an extra 15 minutes, put them in a breakout room with an invigilator directly, so they could handle question support. They could just have that one-on-one time, rather than being in a group setting and then people coming off the breakout room, you've got to stay there and all that stuff. So, and then we did our own sort of closing session after the extra 15 minutes at the end with that candidate, so they can understand next steps. Another example is a fantastic candidate called Bethany, and she is our team assistant in ITV Creative. And she had initially 3 different, she wanted to come to the building 3 different times just to assess how things work across the building, the logistics of it all. I was managing that, for Bethany. So we made sure that we had a workplace services representative there as well to sort of take note of any questions or any concerns, and myself obviously from HR, so I could guide her through that whole process and ensure that that environment was right from the outset for her.
Fantastic, thank you. A quick one from, because I'm conscious of time as well, from a candidate who is often told that they're overqualified for jobs, but are actually trying to, obviously need to work, and they're trying to change field from one sector to another. I think you've kind of covered that if people have got transferable skills, you're happy to look at their application.
Absolutely, transferable skills are so key, and I think ITV is, when I first started 4 years ago, it wasn't quite there. There was a lot of this whole, I think they're already qualified for the job. I think as we're evolving, and as we're understanding the situation more, and we're understanding what different types of backgrounds we could get in, I think the concern sometimes comes that people are going to make a drop in money to take an opportunity, and how motivated will people be for the time being, and that's a very manager focused. Sometimes people think like that, but our managers are all coming around to the idea that not everything is about money. Sometimes it's about retraining, reprioritization of where you want your career to go, what skills you want to develop. And at the end of the day, if ITV can't be the company to offer that, then we can't say we're an inclusive employer of choice.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, so I think the main thing for us is we would very much be conscious that we don't give that feedback to candidates. We try to understand how we come to that decision and give you constructive feedback to work on for next time.
Okay, and quickly, we've got loads of questions. You're obviously very popular. A quick one, yes or no? Do you have a finance team in London?
We do. We have a finance business partnering level team in London with analyst work. It is at the moment just going through a bit of a restructuring phase as we change our operating model to support the media and entertainment division. But yes, absolutely. And there'll be more roles that surface across the finance world over the next sort of 2 to 3 months in London as well. So do keep an eye out.
And a question, I love this one. Would I have to work with Piers Morgan?
Oh, God, I hope not. I'm joking. But I don't know. It's Piers Morgan. Some people love him. Some people are, not keen on Piers. But if you work in the daytime studios, you might you might have to work with Piers Morgan. So please take that into consideration if you're keen on applying.
You might
You know,
Holly Willoughby. She's lovely.
Holly Willoughby is absolutely lovely, yeah. And that's once again daytime with This Morning, and you've got Loose Women. So look, in the studios world, if you're interested in studios work and maybe working with Piers Morgan, you'll see, if you see anything with daytime studios, that's This Morning, Loose Women, Good Morning Britain, all that good stuff. So if you're interested in those types of roles, do keep an eye out where it says daytime studios.
So there's a couple of questions about career progression. I think you've kind of mentioned that you're keen to develop people and look at skills that they want. And then a very timely one, will you be advertising any more apprenticeship schemes?
We've got one that's gone live today, which Jane knows about, which is for a data scientist qualification. It's on its own because it is a 3 to 4 year qualification plan, so it's much more up to like degree level. It's an amazing opportunity to learn all about data science and how it feeds into commercial advertising. So it's good to have if you've got a keen interest in learning about data, but also a keen interest in learning around commercial and the advertising world, it's a fantastic opportunity. So do keep an eye out on the ITV website. There is a stipulation on that says that you do have to have either an A-level equivalent in a maths or a STEM subject like science, technology, engineering, because of the nature of the qualification. But at the same time, we are offering a potential way of doing a type of assessment that someone could do if they don't have an A-level in those subjects, to see if you are compatible with that qualification. And the only reason we're doing that is because it's a scientific qualification at the end of the day. So we need to make sure that we're being truthful, that we can set you up for success with that. So, but do keep an eye. I think it's all live now actually. So please go on it. And if you do, I think really important for any of these roles, if you see them through Even Break and then you go through to the ITV website, put Even Break down as a source, because it's really good that we want to see it, the great work Even Break's doing, these great sort of webinars and sort of virtual workshops. We want to make sure that we're seeing that you're coming from Even Break as well, and that's where you're seeing the roles. So I would definitely encourage you, in a source field, if it says where did you see the job, do say from Even Break if that's where you saw it first.
So quick question as well, you do apprenticeships, do you do graduate programs?
We do a technology graduate program that has closed now, but we are actually, I think, going to be launching an AI grad scheme as well. Please do keep an eye out. It should come live in the next, I don't look after technology, but I do think the manager there said around 4 to 6 weeks, maybe. But keep an eye out of it on the website from the outset.
Fantastic. We're going to go over time a bit because we started late. I hope that's okay if you're happy to carry on, Robbie.
That's fine. I do have a meeting, but I'm just going to see if I can email them quickly, just pushing back by 5 minutes because I'm having fun. So I'm good.
So while you're doing that, another quick question about career progression. So is it possible, for example, to start out as a finance officer and end up as a CFO?
Well, yeah, why not? I mean, I think in terms of how we develop within ITV, we've got people who have been in this business around 20 to 30 years who have progressed from assistant level up to directors. I was doing interviews for someone called Bat in our commercial world yesterday, started 18 years ago, is now a director of creative partnerships. So I think that kind of shows, how people can progress in the organisation, and how people don't tend to leave ITV. It's got quite a sense of trying to ensure that we keep that talent in the business, and ensuring that we can develop and nurture that talent into the next opportunities. We also have things like the ITV Rise program, the leadership program as well, that people can go on to ensure that you're looking on the ITV Rise program, that you're looking for your next steps into management, and on the leadership program, if you've done around sort of 3 to 5 years within ITV and you're showcasing how you could be a good leader, you can be put on that leadership program and developed into succession planning of as head ofs and directors move on, we have a natural progression of you going into that opportunity.
That's amazing. And at the other end of the scale, the first end of the scale, do you offer work placement or work trial programs?
We don't at the moment, if I'm fully honest. It's something we can definitely look into and take away. We do obviously want ITV work experience programs, and we used to have something called ITV Insight, which is where you could apply to be part of our Insight talent pool, and then you would get the first chance to be part of work experience programs. That was quite prevalent when I joined 4.5 years ago. There was one person called Lauren, who was a people development manager, who used to run that piece. But then as the team had to be streamlined slightly, so it was difficult to do that as well. But I'm really pleased to say that we have got a woman called Kate Russell, who's joining as our, well, she's been at ITV, sorry, for about 5 years. She's recently had an internal promotion into an apprentice people development manager. But as part of that apprentice scheme, she's also going to start putting more ITV work experience programs together across business areas. So keep an eye out over this year, because we will be advertising the news one soon. I'm going to definitely do one for commercial. I want to do one for career marketing, finance, just to ensure that you can come in, hopefully when we're allowed in offices, you can come in and see the environment. Or before that, you can have like a virtual call where you can understand the types of roles and a day in the life of what these people do.
Fantastic. After COVID, do you think that there'll still be opportunities for some roles, depending on what they are, to work from home flexibly?
Absolutely. Look, as I mentioned earlier, we are Carolyn McCall is our CEO, and she said before the pandemic, way before it started, that we were going to be the most flexible employer in media. This is something that she's committed to, and it's something we need to follow through in. And so therefore, when people apply, there will be a smart working paragraph at the bottom of each advert. Have a read through it, because if we are not, and obviously the pandemic's changed everything, because we're not going to go back to 5 days a week in the office. Okay, we will be doing, at least 2 days a week work from home is pretty much being committed to. And if someone needs to work from home, more 3 to 4 days a week, there's absolutely no reason why not at the moment, because everything's been set up as, with technology and everything. We've done it this year. No one's been in the office. So yeah, if you're applying and you want to work from home 3 to 4 days a week, please still apply, because we will do everything we can to support and accommodate, that as part of our smart working policy.
Okay, lovely, thank you. We've got, and I do like Piers Morgan, a comment here as well, just for information. Does it matter how long ago you gained your qualification?
Well, I mean, not necessarily. I mean, when we talk about qualifications, it's quite a broad question, I suppose. If, for example, if you're a finance professional and you qualified accountant from 20 years ago, absolutely not. It's if you're going to bring that wealth of experience into the organisation in some respect, that's absolutely fine. There'll be some stipulations around how much post-qualified experience we need with some qualifications, which is usually highlighted on the advert. So please do take that into account if you're reviewing things as well.
Fantastic. And then I have to let you go, because obviously we've run over time. But my last question is, why would a disabled candidate want to work for ITV? What is it about ITV that makes you a great inclusive employer?
I think the main thing right now, in terms of why would a disability candidate, so we've committed to ensuring that our workforce is fully represented, and we've committed to doubling, as I mentioned earlier, the number of candidates in ITV who have declared disabilities by 2022. So that shows you in itself that, and it's not about hitting targets and anything like that. It's a genuine approach to the fact that we want to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to work within ITV. Also, if you want to come into yes, the pace is quite fast, but it's a very, very nice people-focused organisation. And I can tell you, someone who's worked in financial services, MOD, recruitment, and all that stuff, the environment is, everybody's nice, everybody is on this one ITV process. We want to make sure the company gets to where it needs to go, and we do that by working together and supporting each other. We're very big on sort of the well-being of our employees, and that's shown throughout lockdown, where we have every day now you can log on and do an hour in your lunch break of some different sort of workshop that we have, whether that be There's a flower bouquet making one that happened the other day. We do some yoga. We do guest speakers around sort of mental health and how the pandemic has sort of changed their life, and so loads of different things. So the idea being that your well-being is at the forefront of everything we do now. So if you want to come into a creative environment that's digitally evolving, it's a people-focused organisation, we're diverse and we're inclusive, and you want to do some really fun stuff sometimes at lunchtimes, then come join us.
Fantastic. I might leave even break. No, I'm kidding. I won't leave even break. Thank you so much, Robbie. I mean, that's great. We're going to, this has been recorded, so this will be going on the Hive, so people can look at it if they missed this opportunity. But thank you for being open with us. Thank you for sharing all of the exciting news about ITV. Thank you for the candidates who have been on the call, and don't forget to look at the ITV jobs on the Even Break job board, but also to visit the Career Hive. And as I say, if you don't know about that, you'll be receiving an email, I think tomorrow, about that. So thanks very much, and I'm sorry we've run over, and sorry again about the delay at the beginning, but hey, that's technology, and hopefully we'll get it right next time. So thanks very much, everybody, and see you later.
Thanks, Jane. Thanks, everyone.